COVID-19. For those of you that are joining for the first time, I'm Joy Marchese, founder of Positive Discipline UK and a lead trainer for the Positive Discipline Association. And I'm so thrilled to be joined tonight by my mentor and my dear friend, Dr. Jane Nelsen, who is the founder of Positive Discipline and the author of the Positive Discipline series. Jane, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We're really actually daytime for you because it's only 12:30 in California. But thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We're really excited to hear from you. And we're just going to start off with a bit of an introduction. And during this time, I've been hearing a lot of people that are really struggling with these two extremes of dealing with the fear that is coming up for them, whether it's fear of, their health and the health of loved ones, and fear of the economy and their personal finances, and also, the opportunities that are available, opportunities to spend more time with our families than ever before, opportunities to really reevaluate what's important to us in life. And so I would love to hear from you to start off, how are you really navigating during this time of uncertainty, and what nuggets of wisdom do you have to share with us?
Well, I don't know how much wisdom, but it's just, first of all, I have to ask, do you have pajamas on your bottom?
I don't. I have jeans.
I do.
Yes. Good for you. I have done that. Yes.
Extremes, so I have extremes from my top and my bottom. But as you were talking about extremes, I was really thinking about how much of that there is in the world. Like even Positive Discipline was designed to come to the middle of not being too kind, which is permissive, or too firm, which can be punitive, but how do we be both kind and firm? And I think that this pandemic has really brought that up, because we can have extreme fear, and it's brought so many of us to extreme gratitude and extreme appreciation. And I'm just so glad that we have both of those options. And because so many people who have said, I don't even have time to do family meetings, now they have time to do them every single day. And, we've complained about sometimes we've gotten so busy that we haven't had enough time for our children. Now we're probably going to have a little bit too much. They're probably going to be happy. But it's like trying to find that balance. And to me, it doesn't mean ever to deny what's going on. And it's scary. It's scary. But we don't have to live there. I mean, I am just so grateful for my meditations and all the people who have shown the Gemeinschaftsgefühl, which for people who don't understand is a primary Adlerian concept, which is, Positive Discipline is based on, of contributing. In fact, I have to tell you, even so many people have been contributing helpful things on Facebook that it's almost too much. So sorry for all of you who've already had enough, but hopefully we can just offer a little bit more encouragement, because that's the whole goal, is to find out where there's discouragement and to offer encouragement, to offer hope, to offer skills. And so many people have said, they don't know what they would do without these Positive Discipline schools that have helped them so much to deal with this at home time.
Yeah. I think it's really important to think about that. And I have seen a lot of Gemeinschaftsgefühl here in the UK. We have every week, everyone goes out. Last night, Thursday night at 8:00, just everyone's coming out of their houses and clapping and cheering and banging pots and pans for the NHS and all of the nurses and doctors and workers and all the people that are keeping us healthy, and also the people that are working in the supermarkets that are keeping us fed, and just showing that appreciation. I don't think I've ever seen that. I haven't seen that since I was in New York during 9/11. It was the best I experienced that. And I remember how in the worst times it brought out sometimes the best in people.
Right. And, I often use an analogy lately of this is like the birth process. Right now, we're in the very painful part of the birth process, but knowing something beautiful can come from it, and focusing on that, because we are having cleaner air. Somebody said that we've done more for our planet in this few weeks than we would do in 20 years. And so there's, and if anything, we have to focus on gratitude for what we do have every moment. So just to keep looking for and managing the fear.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Those are words of wisdom, Jane. So thank you. I do. So we've talked about, Jane, a lot of different topics in the past 2 weeks. We've talked about self-regulation and taking a positive time out. We've talked about routines, the importance of routines and how to set them up. We've talked about taking time for training and asking for help, expressing feelings, communicating feelings with bugs and wishes, mistakes being opportunities. So we've covered a lot. And last night we did family meetings. And so I asked people that have been watching to send in questions that they have. And if it's okay, I'd love to share some of those questions with you. And if you can answer, well, we're going to stay on for, 30 minutes till 9 o'clock in the UK time. And we'll answer as many questions as we can during that time. So if it's okay, we'll start with the first one, which I've heard this came up multiple times. So I created a routine with my 2 children 2 weeks ago. It went pretty well the first week, and now they won't stick to it at all and are resistant to creating a new one.
I just really do love this answer. This question, because I like to ask people, how many of you think that these positive discipline tools make your children perfect? And of course, when you think about it, they're not. How many of you think they're going to make you perfect? And they're not. But we can use them over and over and over to keep. Well, it was Dreichers who said, "Don't work for perfection, work for improvement." And so, when a tool doesn't work, you just do it again. I remember one woman saying, "Well, we did a family meeting, and our kids did their chores for a whole week. But then they stopped doing them." And I said, "Well, have you found anything else that got them to do it for a whole week?" And she says, "Whoa, come to think of it, I haven't." So I said, it's just time for another family meeting. And I know that for us, like the issue of chores would come up at least once a month, or if not more often, because they would do it enthusiastically. They would follow their plan for a week, and then they would kind of grumble about it, and then they started complaining. And so we would have to just put it on the agenda again and talk about solutions again. But the other thing I want to mention, a new activity I've written recently, are you coming from fear or are you coming from love? And when we try to use a parenting tool and we're coming from fear, and the fear is our children are always going to be slobs, or they're never going to be self-responsible, or they're never, and I do want to tell you, my daughter Mary, who, when she was a teenager, I honestly think she would be just a total slob because her room was always a mess. And I even remember getting so angry because she would leave her cereal bowls in her room that the cereal would dry on, and it made it so hard. And so I was coming from this fear that she's never going to learn responsibility. And oh my goodness, she loves cleanliness now.
Yes, that would surprise me that she left dirty bowls in her bedroom. That really is shocking.
And it's like, but I think that one of the reasons, because I backed off, because if we are too lecturing, that invites kids to either withdraw or rebel. And but when I finally said to her, honey, I can see how busy you are. You're trying to do school and friends and a part-time job. And I'm just going to start picking up your bowls and putting them into this thing just to show you how much I love you. And it's so cool. I totally changed my feeling about it. And then I have to tell you one other story about Mary and family meetings. My kids loved it when they were younger, but we had the issue of chores where we had to keep coming up with new ideas and new ideas and new ideas, and got very creative with all the different ways we do it. But when they became teenagers, they really started complaining. "Oh, this is so stupid. Do we have to do this again?" And of course I said, "Well, it's important to me. We can shorten them, but yes, for me, we need to do them." And then Mary went over to stay overnight with a friend, and she came back the next day and said, "That family is so screwed up. They should be having family meetings." So we really
best reward.
We need to remember that it's a process, not a tool that you do once and from then on they're perfect. You just keep doing it. You just keep doing it from kindness and firmness, and coming up with new plans, and not expecting that perfection. Mm-hmm. Oh, I want to tell you one other story. Do you know that when Dreyfus was still alive, there were several Adlerians who decided they were going to try and find the perfect family meeting. So they had several people recording their family meetings, and they finally gave up. They said there's no such thing as a perfect one.
Yeah.
So that's, again, we need to have the courage to be imperfect and to just work for this improvement.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And you made me think about, it's almost like when we go to the gym and we're all gung-ho in January, right? And we're working out, and then it falls to the wayside. It's no different, right? Than kids, they start off enthusiastic, and then, you have to go back to it.
Well, but the other thing about that too is that we have to remember that they're kids, and a clean house or so many chores, homework, so many of those things are not high on their priority list. Yes. And that doesn't mean they shouldn't do them. And that's why they have parents. But if we parent like tiger moms, this is the other thing I think is so important, that if we are too firm, our kids are going to learn a lot of responsibility, but they're going to have a low self-esteem and self-concept. Mm-hmm. Or they'll get rebellious. But if we're too permissive, they're going to feel loved, but they're going to think the only way to get love is to have everybody do things for them. So the most loving thing we can do for our children is to be both kind and firm, understand that they don't have the same priorities that we do, which is all the more reason why we need to be kind while we're being firm. They talk about connection before correction. Honey, I love you, and you still have to clean your room.
Yeah. And I think, you know what? Some people would see your example of cleaning up Mary's bowls as too kind or too permissive, but actually acknowledging all of the things she was doing. And exactly. So this out of love, I think, is really important. It's not rewarding it or, pampering her, right? It was, I think that's really important. Okay, so
I'm really glad you brought that up, because it is so easy to go all the way there to permissiveness, and it wasn't that. It was because I was willing to do that, and then she started being more willing to do things for me. It just created that feeling of give and take, and so many things where she was still being very responsible, including having a job and doing
at her age. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, okay, so this is I'm going to skip to another one. Actually, this is a good one. How much screen time do you recommend during this time? It seems kids are on screens 24/7 since distance learning started and all of the other good online activities, right? So there's lots of yoga online and Joe Wicks and all of these, right? Great things online. How much screen time? What's your advice on that?
You would have to have that one, because, I have to tell you, I am one of those who has known for a long, long time that screens are addictive. Mm-hmm. And, frankly, positive discipline tools don't really work for addictions. But we are writing a whole book on this. We've got one ebook that called "Help, My Child is Addicted to Screens. Yikes, so am I." But the one tool that helps manage this the most is to decide what you will do. This is the tool that I think we should be using the least often. Instead of deciding what you should do, it's how many solutions can you find with your children. But in this case, you just have to have guidelines. You have to decide you can have this much time so that we can at least try to manage the addiction as much as possible. But also, I love hearing Mary share the conversations. It is an opportunity to have more conversations rather than just rigid rules. Yeah. So I think that combination of having some conversations about the long-term results and what they're doing, and having discussions with them, but also I believe in parental controls, that you go in and you use that they can only do them so much time, and that you make sure you plan other time. And my only is with my grandchildren right now, but the parents who say we're going to plan lots of outside time, We're going to plan lots of outside activities, a lot of other activities that at least lessen the exposure. But it is a time where you have to be really kind and firm. I know you want to be on your iPad again, and now is not the time.
Yeah. And I know that, some parents are coming to me and they're struggling with the fact that, they're having to work from home, right? And I have single parents that are contacting me that are with the child alone. They have no child care. They have to work from home in order to try to, pay the bills, right? So there's that balance. And this again is really uncharted territory for many of us, right? Trying to work from home, have your child there, not have childcare. And it's my husband and I sat down and we really focused on solutions together, and so far so good. It's worked. It doesn't mean it's easy all the time, but it will take figuring it out. And I do think during this time, there probably will be more screen time than you would typically allow. I have a feeling that after this is said and done, kids are going to be so thrilled to be able to go outside and play, and so excited to see their friends. They're going to be done with screens. That's my hope. That's my hope.
Well, we can only hope, but it is, I think that they just really do have to have a lot of other things in their schedule.
Yeah. Okay. So, so this is someone that's been watching the sessions every night. We've created a positive timeout space, routines, and a chore chart, but I seem to be the only one using any of them. How do I get the rest of my family to cooperate? And there was in brackets, my husband included.
Well, here again, I think it's when people think that you can just use one tool and it's going to work forever. And if that was true, they would only need you as parents until you could teach the tools once, and then they could go out on their own. And that's why we just have to keep doing these things over and over again. But, there's so many tools. It's like, when we do the love and fear activity, where we say, what is the challenge? And then look at the tool that didn't seem to work, and were you coming from fear or were you coming from love? And not only that, is when they say, okay, if you went and looked at the tool again, and would you either use the same tool, and how would it look if you added love to it? Or would you see another tool that was better? And, sometimes a lot of these tools, we think, okay, I've done it. Now my child's going to be responsible. This is going to be their priority, just like it's my priority. Not going to happen. That's why you have to keep doing them over and over again. But there are some little things that help to be encouraging. Like for the 4 or 5-year-old who doesn't want to do it, tell them you need them to be the leader. And so you want to teach them more of the leadership skills and teach them to be more in charge. And to always be asking and to remember the connection before correction. Mm-hmm. It's like, I know you don't want to do this. It's just no fun, and you need to do it.
Yeah.
So in fact, instead of thinking, okay, I taught my child family meetings, I taught them the routine chart, now they're supposed to use it forevermore without any direction from me. It's just not going to happen.
I think, the connection before correction and the kind and firm is really important. And, I like to follow that up with fun. So after you've given them, it still needs to get done. Do you want to sing while we do it? What music should we put on while we're doing our chores? And making it fun. I think especially now, being playful and being fun with our kids and ourselves is really important. I think it helps keep us sane a little bit. So add the fun to it.
Well, I think that's very important as part of the correction part, but then we don't have to make everything fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've done the fun part. Now is the chore part. And Dreikers used to talk about that sometimes parents should just go on strike and decide what they're going to do. And if the kids don't want to unload the dishwasher or set the table or whatever, say, okay, I'm going to just sit on the couch and read my book. And I'll be happy to cooperate when everybody else is willing to do their part. And meanwhile, I'm going to have fun reading my book.
Yeah. So. Yeah. My mother was a genius at doing that. I don't know if she's on tonight, but she was a genius at doing that. So this question from a single parent if you are a single parent with two children of different ages, 4 years old and 8 years old, one is in preschool, one is in grade 3, how do you manage them both doing completely different things? Right. And this is for any time, I think. But now I guess this parent is trying to work from home and keep both, one kid's doing distance learning, the other one doesn't have any online learning. Right. So keeping them both busy.
Well, first of all, because of different ages, that's why we have so many different positive discipline books for different ages, is adapting the tools for the age. But the thing is, oh gosh, I'm really stuttering and stammering on this one. But you just really need both of their help. And to me, my pat answer so often is put it on the family meeting and let the kids figure it out. Yeah. It's just like when I was an elementary school counselor, and the teachers would always say, what do I do about this and what would I do about that? And they finally started calling me the broken record, because I would say, put it on the agenda and let the kids come up with a plan. And so I think that even for those different ages, just guys, what is your idea for how we can solve this problem?
Yeah.
And then let that, one of the biggest reasons that family meetings don't work is if parents talk too much, or they try to guide too much, rather than really saying, I have faith in you guys that you can come up with some answers and some solutions.
Yeah. And I think that's important. And ages 4 and 8, you can do family meetings. The three of you can sit down and do it. And probably, do them every day, even if it's 15 minutes, sit down, regroup each evening together or morning.
And ask the 8-year-old to help the 4-year-old learn the leadership skills, to learn how to be the one who is in charge of the agenda and in charge of the talking stick, and even as soon as they can write, being in charge of writing down the answers, so that the more they're involved, the more they have ownership.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I have another one here. And actually, 2 parents had this same challenge. It was very interesting with the piano. My daughter loves piano, especially her lessons, but she's not excited about practicing, especially with the lessons that aren't as fun on Zoom. How can I get her to be more into practicing without reminding and nagging?
Well, I think, we talk about not using logical consequences, but I think you can help children explore the consequences of their choices. And this is where I think you can sit down and ask them, what will happen if you don't practice? Then what will the results be? And if you do practice, what will the results be? And really helping them to figure it out. But there's a woman in China who has a son who went to Juilliard, and she took all the positive discipline tools. And when she would go on a tour with her, she would do workshops on parents about piano playing. And the one thing she did is, even with, oh gosh, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. But when he started rebelling too much, she let him take a whole year off instead of forcing. She just says, okay. And then he eventually decided that he wanted to do it again. And so, but I think this idea of helping them explore, what is it they really want? Do they really want to be able to play the piano? Mm-hmm. And I think showing them YouTubes of people playing and doing well, and then saying, what do you think they had to do to get to there?
So. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Let's see. Well, you've kind of answered this. There's two questions here about family meetings, and I'm going to kind of lump them together because we have 5 minutes left. We've started family meetings, and my 5-year-old was very excited the first few sessions, but has lost interest and refuses to do them. How do I get him re-engaged? And I'm going to piggyback that with, how do I get my husband on board with family meetings?
Well, there are 2 very different answers. But first of all, whenever they say a 5-year-old doesn't want to do family meetings, I get really suspicious that the parent is doing too much talking, too much guiding, because 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds, they love it when they're in charge, when they're doing most of it, when they're coming. Parents have to really be careful that they don't use this as a platform for lectures and all of that. And the thing is about getting fathers involved, or anybody who's reluctant, is to just let, if they really say, I would really love to have you participate. And if you don't want to do this, then I'll just have what I will call problem-solving sessions with the children, but I won't call them family meetings. because we're a family. Unless everybody in the family is here, it's not a family meeting. But the parents then could just still sit down with their children and say, let's have a problem solving session, whoever wants to come.
Great. And I think getting back to the 5-year-old, this came up on the call last night when we talked about family meetings in that session. Sometimes we try to do too much too soon. And especially with young kids, you can't just jump into problem solving, right? Like you really have to build up and give them the foundation. So you're not starting with problem solving in family meetings. You really have to start with the compliments and appreciations.
I
Do you
disagree.
disagree? Oh, okay.
Sorry, 4-year-olds love to do problem solving. They're so good at it.
Yes, but don't you have to not, because what happens is if the parents aren't, it goes too long a lot of the time until you've practiced giving compliments. Sometimes they try to fit everything in so soon that the children just get, you lose a 5-year-old after 20 minutes, they can't sit there for so long.
Well, I think that they should be shorter for sure, but I think that you're going to lose them if you don't let them use their powers and their skills for problem solving, because they're so good at it at 4. That's when they help me want to do it. They are so good at. So you just keep it shorter. You say, okay, we're going to have compliments, and then we're going to solve one problem. What ideas do you have? But they're just really good at it. If we keep our mouths shut long enough for them to come up with their ideas, they're just usually very good at it.
Thank you. Jane knows I'm a talker. And I want to go back to that husband not joining the family meetings. I think that's really important, not forcing, someone to do it. We've been doing those activity sessions in the morning with Chloe and my business partner and her son, and we've been on this live session. And I asked my husband to join us, and he didn't want to be on the camera, but he said, I'll participate in the background. And he did, and he's really, he's dancing and he's doing everything in the background. And today, when my partner was sick and couldn't be on, I said, would you join us today? And he did. And it was really, so, just from experiencing. So basically, for 2 weeks, he's been experiencing how much fun this can be for us as a family and together. And eventually, he was willing to really fully participate like that. And I really appreciated that.
I think we always need to think why someone might not want to be too. Are they afraid they're going to be criticized? Are they afraid they're going to be lectured to? Are they afraid they're going to be wrong? And it's just, this is one of the reasons why you might just start with the compliments that would be fine to do that for 5 minutes if it takes that long. But you can do a family meeting in 15 minutes if you do compliments and then one solution. Mm-hmm. So they don't need to be 20 or 30 minutes. They could be very short.
Yeah, I think that's important. So we have like a minute left. I've gotten through all of the questions that were sent to me. I see that there's a lot of people online. Just to let you know, Jane, I can't see everyone on the feed, but I see people from Malta, from Saudi Arabia, from the United States, obviously from the UK. So I'm seeing lots of people from all over the world, which is really great that everyone can tune in. Jane, do you have any last bits that you want to share with everyone before we go?
Yes, I just want to say thank you to Alfred Adler and Rudolf Dreikurs, who found principles that work in every culture. Even though we're very, very different in our cultures, we all love our children. We all want ways that encourage them and help that feel belonging and help them feel that significance and that responsibility. And just so thankful that they came up with these ideas of how to do that. And that Lynn and I always love to thank John Taylor for how he introducing the experiential activities, which makes it so relevant in every single country because they learn from their own experiences rather than just from lectures.
And even online, we've been trying to you can still do experiential. We've done some this week. And that's what really helps the deep learning, is to really put yourself in the shoes of your children, get into their world, and really connect on that level.
Exactly. And I'm so glad that you're doing this, Joy.
Thank you. And so Jane, I just want to give you share some gratitude with you for being my mentor all these years. And my good friends, you gave me advice just before this call, which I really appreciated. And for being—
Tell them what it was. Tell them what it was.
Oh, I don't know if we want to do that.
I know. I said, listen, don't pay attention to the discouragers. Only pay attention to the encouragers, because there are a lot of people who are critical of all kinds of things. And oh my, I used to not, when the evaluations, I just couldn't stand to read them, because if I got 25s, which is the highest, and I got 2s, which is the lowest, oh, it's like, it takes work to remember that we just want to pay attention to the encouragers.
So thank you so much for sharing with all of us, for being here. Thank you all that are joining us live, and we'll put the recording on the Positive Discipline UK Facebook page. And Jane, hopefully you'll share it on your page so more people can see it.
Yeah.
Sending lots of love to everyone out there. Be healthy, be safe, and yes, sending you lots of love.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.